I'm Dorian Hayden, and welcome, and I appreciate everyone joining me for my presentation on my project dealing with the role of recreational sports participation on coping with stress and college adjustment. So for the rationale, pretty much as everyone knows, being at a university results in a lot of stress, where 50% of college students suffer from psychological distress or related diseases, which can manifest themselves into different mental health challenges like chronic illness, depression, and even alcohol and substance abuse. Students usually struggle with academic life balance or work-life balance, finances, and their careers, while minorities have the added stressors of trying to fit in, perceived overt racism, and succeeding where others have failed. Additionally, individuals from low socioeconomic statuses, here measured with parental education, a lot of times have to deal with even lower levels of positive mental health indicators, as well as less resources and less education. Athletes might also have to deal with the added pressures of dealing with eligibility and opportunities to go pro. But on the other hand, participating in sports, recreational sports, or physical activity has been found to almost deal as a buffer against distress. Additionally, those individuals participating in these activities were found to also have better levels of well-being and better levels overall on different measures relating to mental health. So related to the literature, the purpose of our study was to identify levels of depression, stress, and anxiety across recreational sport participation, socioeconomic status, and race, and also to identify usage, opinions on, and suggestions for improvement of on-campus resources. So the hypothesis of our study was that levels of depression, stress, and anxiety are related to race, socioeconomic status, and type of physical activity participation, where, as I mentioned earlier, parental education was used as a proxy for socioeconomic status. Here I'm just kind of laying out real quick the characteristics of participants. One thing I need to point out is in terms of race and ethnicity that we had to group individuals into white and non-white or minority and non-minority individuals because we didn't have a lot of diversity in the sample, so we kind of had to group all the minorities into one category here. Measures that we used in the study were first off a demographics measure put together by the researchers on this project. Second was the DASS 21 with the subscales Chromebox Alpha listed below, with the first number being as it was found in the literature and the second number as it was established in our study here. And then finally, we had some qualitative questions addressing, amongst others, the obstacles with seeking on-campus resources, but also how to improve those resources as well. After receiving IRB approval, we went on and presented the study to a few physical activity courses and answered some questions, sent out recruitment emails with a link to the survey, and participants then completed the informed consent, demographics questionnaire, DASS 21, and finally the qualitative questions. Starting off with the results on physical activity participation relating to depression, stress, and anxiety, we did one-way ANOVAs with all of these subscales. Regarding depression, the ANOVA was significant, however, no significance was found in the post-hoc analysis. For stress, ANOVA was also significant, and the post-hoc analysis was significant where individuals participating in intramurals or club sports had significantly lower levels of stress compared to non-participants. However, there was no significance between intramurals and club sport participants. Similarly, for anxiety, the ANOVA was significant, and post-hoc analysis also found significant results indicating that participants in intramurals and club sports had lower levels of anxiety compared to non-participants. Again, no significant difference between intramural and club sport participants. Now going into race and ethnicity, we found through independent samples t-test that depression, that there was a significant difference in depression as relating to white and non-white participants, where white individuals had significantly lower levels of depression compared to minorities in the sample. Relating to socioeconomic status, at the top I have the three categories listed, high school or lower, post-high school, and graduate and above, as relating to participants' parents' education level. Here we also only found one significance as relating to anxiety, where post-hoc analysis found that individuals whose parents have a high school education or lower had significantly higher levels of anxiety compared to individuals whose parents had higher levels of education. With qualitative results, we primarily focused this presentation on obstacles with seeking on-campus resources, as well as on how to improve these resources as indicated by the students. So the top 3 codes with obstacles were personal reasons, as you can see, with stigma, being uncomfortable, problem seeming insignificant, and diversity, as well as bad experiences with these resources, and finally, having a lack of time of actually seeking these resources. With improvements for on-campus resources, the top 2 codes, we combined the top 3 in these ones, were increased education about resources, where a lot of students just didn't know about resources that could help them with their issues, but then also having more availability of existing resources and individuals of those resources just reaching out more to students on campus to make sure that they're doing all right. Other qualitative questions were resources and their availability, what could have prepared you better for university, motivation to be successful in college, staying motivated through tough times, and psychological skills that you learned and the benefit of physical activity. Comparing our results to the literature and starting off with physical activity, as I alluded to earlier, different types of physical activity have been found to relate to lower levels of negative mental health indicators. Moving on to race, also alluded to earlier, individuals of minority status deal with different types of stressors and have higher levels of stress, depression, anxiety, more self-concealment, less help seeking, more stigma, and also more hassle leading to depression. With socioeconomic status across different countries, overall it was found that obviously lower levels of socioeconomic status lead to worse levels in mental health, with the last study listed here dealing with actual cortisol, epinephrine, and norepinephrine levels. Some of our limitations are listed here, with the primary ones being that we did not ask about major, which obviously is a huge obstacle since most of the individuals were recruited from kinesiology. And on the other hand, we also had an issue with the time frame of data collection, which occurred during the beginning stages of the quarantining due to COVID. Several potential future directions are listed here, with the primary one being that it would be important to be more specific with the type of physical activity, but then also incorporating the amount of time spent on physical activity in the data analysis. Thank you very much for attending this presentation, and I look forward to any questions that you might have.